Ladies and gentlemen, a warm applause for Jeff Tibal.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I want to thank Cartamundi for inviting me here to talk to Marco and to Stephen and to Ruth. And also Mike Zuhl is here, who is perhaps, excuse me, the first representative of any printer or manufacturer that I ever talked to at the beginning of my career working at Atlas Games in 1996. And so it is great, and thank you all. I have a question. How many of you are interested in designing games, by show of hands? That's magnificent. And how many are interested also, or instead, in publishing games yourself? That's great. How many of you are not sure how to decide between whether you are most interested in designing games or publishing games? It seems like that's all one big thing. Or do you all have a sense of which? Yeah. I think that is not at all easy to figure out, because it's very hard to get information about what all of those different jobs are and what to do. Has anyone here actually designed a game, published or no? Have a design? Has anyone here published a game and brought it to market? Very well done. That is huge. I would like us all to applaud for those who have actually made games and brought them to market. That is not easy. That is not an easy thing to do. I want to suggest today that there are two different ways of thinking about the process of designing and publishing games, and we'll get to what I think those are in a minute, but that's what I really want to talk about, is those two different ways of doing that. Before I get very deep into that, I would like to just give you a little bit of background about who I am and a little bit what I've done, so that you will maybe take that idea seriously. So at the moment, I'm the Chief Operating Officer at Atlas Games. Atlas Games is the publisher of Gloom and Once Upon a Time, are the games you're most likely to have heard of. We're just starting to do more board games now. But Atlas has also been publishing role-playing games for 25 or maybe even 30 years. Ars Magica and Unknown Armies and Feng Shui are the games that you might know of. I'm the co-founder of Game Playwright, which is a nonfiction publishing imprint, and my partner Will Hindmarch and I release books that are about games and about stories and about how to do the work of doing those things. So not games themselves, but things that talk about them. And The White Box, which I'll talk a little bit more about later, is one of those endeavors. I'm also an independent designer, and so these are some of the games that I've worked on. My cheap plug for the current thing is that Doctor Who Time Clash you can find at the Cubicle 7 booth in Hall 6, C120, if you are a fan of Doctor Who. And so I've worked with lots of different publishers at lots of different levels. This Bander album down here is the first Kickstarter that I ever did, because I wanted to just get this idea for a game out of my mind, and I did not have enough money to just do. It's a game that's played with coins. I carry one around with me all the time. It's a social game, but the mold for this is very expensive, so I crowdfunded that just so that I would stop thinking about this game that I wanted to have out there in the world, for which there was almost no practical use. And then also recently, since last Origins, I'm on the board of GAMA, the Game Manufacturers Association, because I'm very interested in advancing many different publishers and their position in the business. So in addition to those roles, I've also worked for different publishers. I was the VP of Product Development at Fantasy Flight Games and the line developer for the Lord of the Rings role-playing game at Decipher. So many different kinds of games, many different sizes of publishers, and on and on. I want to talk a little bit about the process of designing games and the number of different stages that you have to go through, because I think that this is non-obvious to lots of designers.